Om Sai Ram, Chapter 50. Stories of Kaka Sahib Dikshit, Shri Tembe Swami, Balram Durandar. Chapter 50 of the original Satcharitra has been incorporated in Chapter 39 as it dealt with the same subject matter. Now, Chapter 51 of Satcharitra has been treated here as Chapter 50. This chapter gives the stories of Kaka Sahib Dikshit, Shri Tembe Swami and Balram Durandar. Preliminary. Victory be unto Sai, who is the mainstay of the Bhaktas, who is our Sadguru, who expounds the meaning of the Gita and who gives us all powers. O Sai, look favorably on us and bless us all. The sandalwood tree grow on the Malaya mountains and ward off heat. The clouds pour their rain water and thereby cool and refresh all the people. The flowers blossom in the spring and enable us to worship God herewith. So, the stories of Sai Baba come forth in order to give solace and comfort to the readers. Both those who tell and those who hear the stories of Baba are blessed and holy. It is a well established fact that though we try hundreds of means or sadhanas, we do not attain the spiritual goal of life unless our Sadguru blesses us with his grace. Here, the following story in illustration of this statement. Kaka Sahib Dikshit, 1864 to 1926. Mr. Hari Sitaram alias Kaka Sahib Dikshit was born in 1864 in Vadnagara Nagar in a Brahmin family at Kandwa, Central Province. His primary education was done at Kandwa, Hingangat and secondary education at Nagpur. He came to Mumbai for higher education and studied first in the Wilson College and then in the Elphinstone College. After graduation in 1883, he passed his LLB and solicitor's examinations and then served in the firm of the government solicitors Messrs. Little and Co. And then, after some time, started a solicitor's firm of his own. Before 1909, Sai Baba's name was not familiar to Kaka Sahib, but after that, he soon became his great devotee while he was staying at Lonavala. He happened to see his old friend Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar. Both spent some time in talking about many things. Kaka Sahib described to him how, while he was boarding a train in London, he met with an accident in which his foot slipped and was injured. Hundreds of remedies gave him no relief. Nana Sahib then told him that if he wished to get rid of the pain and lameness of his leg, he should go to his Sadguru Sai Baba. He also gave him all the particulars of Sai Baba and mentioned to him Sai Baba's dictum. I draw to me my man from far off or even across the 7 seas like a sparrow with a string fastened to its feet. He also made it clear to him that if he was not Baba's man, he would not be attracted to him and given darshan. Kaka Sahib was pleased to hear all this and said to Nana Sahib that he would go to Baba, see him and pray to him to cure not so much his lame leg but bring round his lame fickle mind and give him eternal bliss. Sometime after, Kaka Sahib went to Ahmednagar and stayed with Sridhar Kaka Sahib Mirkar in connection with securing votes for a seat in the Mumbai Legislative Council. Mr. Bala Sahib Mirkar, son of Kaka Sahib Mirkar, who was a Mamatur of Capricorn, also came at that time to Ahmednagar in connection with a horse exhibition there. After the election business was over, Kaka Sahib Dikshit wanted to go to Shri and both the Mirkars, father and son, were also thinking about a fit and proper person as a guide with whom he should be sent there. There, Sai Baba was arranging things for his reception. Shama got a telegram from his father-in-law at Ahmednagar stating that his wife was seriously ill and that he should come to see her with his wife. Shyama, with Baba's permission, went there and saw his mother-in-law and found her improving and better. Nana Sahib Panse and Appa Sahib Gadar happened to see Shyama on their way to the exhibition and they told him to go to Mirkar's house, see Kaka Sahib Dikshit there and take him to Shirdi along with him. Kaka Sahib Dikshit and the Mirkars were also informed of Shyama's arrival. In the evening, Shyama came to Mirkar's, who introduced him to Kaka Sahib. They arranged that Shyama should leave for Koprigon with Kaka Sahib by the 10 o'clock night train. After this was settled, a curious thing happened. Bala Sahib Mirkar threw aside the veil or covering on Baba's big portrait and showed the same to Kaka Sahib. He was surprised to see that he whom he was going to meet at Shirdi was already there in the form of his portrait to greet him at this juncture. He was much moved and made his prostration before the portrait. This portrait belonged to Megha. The glass over it was broken and it was sent to Mirkar's for repairs. The necessary repairs had been already made and it was decided to return the portrait with Kaka Sahib and Shyama. Before 10 o'clock, they went to the station and booked their passage. But when the train arrived, they found that the second class was overcrowded and that there was no room for them. Fortunately, the guard of the train turned out to be an acquaintance of Kaka Sahib and he put them in the first class. Thus, they travelled comfortably and alighted at Koprigon. Their joy knew no bounds when they saw their Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was also bound for Shirdi. Kaka Sahib and Nana Sahib embraced each other and then, after bathing in the sacred Godavari river, they started for Shirdi. After coming there and getting Baba's darshan, Kaka Sahib's mind was melted. His eyes were full of tears and he was overflowing with joy. Baba said to him that he was also waiting for him and had sent Shyama ahead to receive him. Kaka Sahib then passed many happy years in Baba's company. He built a Vada in Shirdi, which he made as his more or less the permanent home. The experiences he got from Baba are so manifold that it is not possible to relate them all here. The readers are advised to read a special Kaka Sahib Dikshit number of Shri Sai Leela magazine, volume 12, number 6 and 9. We close this account with the mention of one fact only. Baba had comforted him by saying that in the end, he will take him in air coach Viman, secure him a happy death. This came out true. On the 5th July 1926, he was travelling in the train with Hemant Pant and talking about Sai. He seemed deeply engrossed in Sai Baba. All of a sudden, he threw his neck on Hemant Pant's shoulder and breathed his last with no trace of pain and uneasiness. Shri Tembe Swami. We come to the next story which shows how saints love each other with fraternal affection. Once Shri Vasudevanand Saraswati, known as Shri Tembe Swami, encamped at Rajamahendri, Andhra country on the banks of the Godavari. He was devout orthodox dhyani and yogi bhakta of the Dattatreya. One Mr. Pundalik Rao, pleader of Nanded, Nizam state, went to see him with some friends. While they were talking with him, the names of Shirdi and Sai Baba were casually mentioned. Hearing Baba's name, the Swamiji joined hands with reverence and taking a coconut, gave it to the Pundalik Rao and said to him, "Offer this to my brother Sai with my pranam and request him not to forget me but ever love me." He also added that Swamis do not gently bow to others, but in this case an exception had to be made. Mr. Pundalik Rao consented to take the coconut and his message to Baba. The Swami was right in calling Baba a brother, for as he maintained an Agnihotra, sacred fire, day and night in his orthodox fashion, Baba too kept his Agnihotra, that is Duni, ever burning in the masjid. After 1 month, Pundalik Rao and others left for Shirdi with the coconut and reached Manmad, and as they felt thirsty, they went to a vault for drinking water. As water should not be drunk on an empty stomach, they took out some refreshment, that is, chivda, flattened rice mixed with spice. The chivda tasted most pungent, and in order to soften it, as someone suggested, broke the coconut and mixed its scrapings with it. Thus, they made the chivda more tasty and palatable. Unfortunately, the coconut turned out to be the same that was entrusted to Pundalik Rao. As they neared Shirdi, Pundalik Rao remembered the trust, that is, the coconut, and was very sorry to learn that it was broken and consumed. He came to Shirdi and saw Baba. Baba had already received a wireless message regarding the coconut from Tembe Swami and himself asked Pundalik Rao first to give the thing sent by his brother. He held fast Baba's feet, confessed his guilt and negligence, repented and asked for Baba's pardon. He offered to give another fruit as a substitute, but Baba refused to accept it, saying that the worth of that coconut was far more than that of an ordinary one and that it could not be replaced by another. Baba also added, "Now you need not worry yourself any more about the matter. It was on account of my wish that the coconut was entrusted to you and ultimately broken on the way. Why should you take the responsibility of the actions on you? Do not entertain the sense of doership in doing good as well as for bad deeds. Be entirely prideless and egoless in all things, and thus your spiritual progress will be rapid." What a beautiful spiritual instruction Baba gave. Balram Durandar, 1878 to 1925. Mr. Balram Durandar belonged to the Patre Prabhu community of Santa Cruz, Mumbai. He was an advocate of the Mumbai High Court and sometime principal of the Government Law School, Mumbai. The whole Durandar family was pious and religious. Mr. Balram served his community and wrote and published an account of it. He then turned his attention to his spiritual and religious matters. He studied Gita carefully and its commentary, Dhyaneshwari, and other philosophical and metaphysical works. He was a devotee of Vithoba of Pandharpur. He came in contact with Shri Sai Baba in 1912. 6 months earlier, his brothers Babulji and Vaman Rao came to Shirdi and took Baba's darshan. They returned home and mentioned their sweet experiences to Balram and other members. Then they all decided to see Sai Baba. Before they came to Shirdi, Baba declared openly that today many of my Darbar people are coming. The Durandar brothers were astonished to hear this remark of Baba from others, as they had not given any previous intimation of their trip. All the other people prostrated themselves before Baba and sat talking with him. Baba said to them, "These are my Darbar people, whom I referred to before," and said to the Durandar brothers, "We have been with each other for the last 60 generations." All the brothers were gentle and modest. They stood with joined hands looking at Baba's feet. All the sattvic emotions such as tears, choking, etc. moved them, and they were all happy. Then they went to their lodging, took their meals, and after taking a little rest, again came back to the masjid. Balram sat near Baba, massaging his legs. Baba, who was smoking the chilm, advanced it towards him and beckoned him to smoke it. Balram was not accustomed to smoking. Still, he accepted the pipe, smoked it with great difficulty, and returned it reverentially. This was the most auspicious moment for Balram. He was suffering from asthma for 6 years. This smoke completely cured him of the disease, which never troubled him again. Some 6 years later, on a particular day, he again got an attack of asthma. This was precisely the time when Baba took his Mahasamadhi. The day of this visit was a Thursday, and the Durandar brothers had the good fortune of witnessing the Chavadi procession that night. At the Aarti function in the Chavadi, Balram saw the glow of Pandurang on Baba's face, and next morning at the Kakad Aarti time, the same phenomenon, the same luster of the beloved deity, Pandurang, was visible again on Baba's face. Mr. Balram Durandar wrote in Marathi, The Life of the Maharashtra Saint Tukaram, but he did not survive to see its publication. It was published later on by his brothers in 1928 in a short note on Balram's life given in the beginning of that book. The above account of Balram's visit has been fully corroborated by page 6 of the book. Bow to Shri Sai, peace be to all.